We're going to start Samach Aleph at 61. And I think we're 7 lines from the top. Amar Rav Huna. Yeah. And we thank Hashem that we're able to learn every day. It's because of our learning, Hashem, the base of Migdash. Also, for Shlema, my father. Okay. We start with the words Amar Rav Huna. Rav Huna says, Badaklan Rav Huna bar Chinna. Rav Huna bar Chinna, he tested us. I think that's what it means. Is that how it says it over there? He tested us. He aimeres lahanik, v'hu aimesh lahanik. Let's say the wife says that she wants to nurse the baby. But the husband says, no, I don't want you to nurse. So shame in law, we listen to the wife. Tzara didahu, it's her pain. Now the pain would mean that she doesn't nurse, so it's pain. It's engorged. It's painful for her. Hu aimer lahanik, v'hi aimer shlei lahanik. Let's say it's the opposite. Let's say he says that I want you to nurse, and she says, I don't want to nurse. Says, what am I, a cow? I added that in. The mahu. So what happens then? Who has the authority here? Who wins? Kol heichad lavarcha. If it's not her custom, in other words, no one in her family nurses. That's not the way they do it. Everyone has like a wet nurse or something. So shayminla. Then she says she doesn't want to nurse, and that's not her custom either. So shayminla. Let's say he orcha who lav orche. Actually, in her family, everyone does nurse. Her mother and her sisters and everyone, all the sisters-in-law, everyone's nursing. She decides she doesn't want to. And his family, the custom is that they don't nurse. So she's really bought into his family's customs, and he bought into her family's customs. But it turns out that he wants her to nurse, and she doesn't want to nurse.
Right.
So if you follow, I'm sorry, they use formula, right? Soy. If they wanted to, so the question over here is who do we follow? Whose statement do we follow? So basadidei as linan, or basadidas linan. Do we follow her opinion, and she doesn't want to nurse, or do we follow his opinion and he wants her to nurse? So Pashtinan Lay, they answered for him. This is the students, I guess, are answering Rav Huna bar Chinna Meha from the following statement, which we had once before. When we quoted this before, we were talking about what needed to be provided for her funeral. And there was a discussion about if her standards and her family were higher than his standards, or if his standards were higher, how would the funeral have to be? Well, that was a discussion if it was only while they're alive or even after she passed away. If you remember, it was about 2 weeks ago. So we have a statement that says that when she gets married, she gets elevated to his standard, but she doesn't get degraded if he's lower. So she still has a higher standard. Okay, now what was going on here is that his standards is that they don't nurse. That was his standards. That was his family's custom, that they don't nurse. So she gets elevated to his family standard. I know her family, they did nurse, but she gets elevated and she doesn't want to nurse. So she gets to follow his family.
So higher and lower, well.
I think it refers to wealth, like status type of thing. So now hiring a wet nurse was something that would require wealth. think so. You can pay someone.
Yeah. I'll just down, but each one. So such as we talk about like, having enough for the baby. Like,
I guess the way the witness would work is that a woman has a baby, so she can nurse. So she weans her own child after, I don't know, 18 months, let's say, and then she can still continue to nurse for however long. There's a baby there that's nursing. Right.
She becomes a wet nurse.
Right.
Is
I
this
guess.
a lower class woman or is this another upper class woman? Yeah, because
It sounds like a lower class woman. Yeah.
She needs money.
I don't know if that's a job today. Is there such a job today? A wet nurse? Okay, Amar Rav Huna Mikra. What's the source for this? That she gets elevated, but she doesn't get degraded. The source is V'hibul Asbal. This is Hashem telling Avimelech that why did you take Sarah? She's a married woman. It says Be'ul Asbal. She's lived with a man. Now the Gemara is learning this as Oila Asbal, that she goes up with the husband. Not Be'ula is she had relations. Here it's being darshaned as that she goes up. She gets she gets elevated with her husband's status, but she doesn't go down with her husband's status. Rabbi Elazar has another source. This is Rabbi Elazar ben Pedas. It says Ki haisa aim kol chai. She is the mother of all living. This is why she was called Chava, right? L'chayim nitna v'lei l'tzar nitna. She is for life, but not for pain. I guess that means that she doesn't get, if it bothers her to nurse, so then she doesn't have to. Is that how they translate this thing? Or they put it in the. She was given to her husband for living with him, but not given to suffer pain with him. Because I mean, she doesn't have to go down to his with his standards. Okay. Let's say she brought in a maid as a part of the dowry. She brings in one maid together with getting married. She brings in a maid into the marriage. So we said that there's a bunch of tasks that a woman has to do. But if she has a maid, then she doesn't have to do these original tasks, which are, she doesn't have to grind, to mill the flour. She doesn't have to bake, and she doesn't have to do the laundry. If she has two maids, then she doesn't have to cook, and she doesn't have to nurse. If she has three, she doesn't have to make the bed. Okay, so we start off with, if she brings in one maid, so she doesn't have to mill the flowers. When it says hashara, but other tasks she does have to do. Why doesn't he tell her husband? I brought in a woman that's in my place. Charikai means in my stead. I brought in a woman, I brought in a maid that could do all of these things. Why do I have to do it? Because he tells her, the maid that you brought in is so busy with taking care of me and taking care of herself. But who's going to take care of you? So you have to do these things you brought the maid in as it gets part of the dowry. So the husband's considering that the maid's going to work for him now. So, but who's going to take care of your needs? So there's other things that you have to do. So you have to take care of them. Shtayim, if she brings in two maids, then she doesn't need to cook and she doesn't need to nurse the children. But the other tasks she does have to do. Why doesn't he tell her husband? Says 1 second, I brought in two women. One takes care of me and she takes care of herself. And the other one takes care of you and takes care of herself. So everything is covered. What about all the guests that are going to come?
Yeah.
So Archia, the guests, Rashi says, that stay for a week or a month. And Parchia are the ones that just come quick. They stay overnight. If there's 3 people there, then she doesn't have to even prepare the bed. Hashara Avda. But other tasks she does have to do. Why doesn't she tell the husband, I already brought in a 3rd maid to take care of the guests. Right? The first 2 take care of the husband and the wife. 3rd maid is to take care of all the guests.
Can you have one maid try to
Take care
help
of the
all
maids.
2? Or 3, like help the husband, help the spouse, and the home? Or is that? it's
Yeah, we're
probably
saying that it was too much work.
too much work.
What about the children?
I'm sorry?
What about the children? Who takes care of the children?
Yeah. Yeah, this must have been like, yeah, well, someone said over here, LEC. But also, I mean, the nursing probably was part of that. But then it was like the parks in Israel that, children under 3 need to be accompanied by an older sibling. Okay. Mishum Da'amala, and if she's saying that I have enough we have enough maids here for the guests as well. So Mishum Damala, Nafish B'nei Beisa, Nafish Archi Parchi. The more people you have in the house, the more guests you have. I guess that's how it works. So I wasn't expecting the Gemara to say that. But it turns out that the more full house, I guess the more friends they have and the more open it is and the more people come. So now that you have all of these maids, there's more people, so you're going to end up with more guests. So so then why did we say that if there's 4 maids, then she doesn't have to do anything? She can just sit there like a queen. So there's going to be even more guests. So it says, once there's 4 maids, then it's already becomes a team. They all help each other. And then there's, this is the Industrial Revolution. To figure things out. Yeah, that's coming up. That's coming up, right? We did. That was a Mishnah. Now the Gemara is explaining the Mishnah. Amar Rav Chana v'Tamer Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani lo yachnisa lo mamish el kiven shari lahachnasav bish lo yachnisa. Very important statement here. He says when we're talking about bringing in maids, we're not referring to that she actually has these individual people that she's bringing in as part of the dowry. We're talking about that she's wealthy enough to afford a maid, or 2, or 3, or 4. So therefore, she's saying, I don't want to do work. We have the money for the maid. Let's spend it on the maid. Tana echad shechnisalei v'echad shetzimtzema mishala. We taught in a brisa that whether she brought it in, or what does it mean, tzimtzema mishala? She's taking it out from her own income, I guess. Let me see how they translate that. She reduces her own needs.
Could these?
If she has enough money, okay, so then she'll be
These
exempt.
maids be like concubines in a way, or is that?
I don't think that's what it's referring to. Yeah.
But would it be possible for that to take place, or?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, but we stopped since after the days of the Tanakh.
mhm.
I think we stopped concubines.
Oh, so much.
Yeah, I don't have any to be find other wives of the amongst Tanai. I don't know. I think it seems like it stopped the concubines after the Tanakh.
That was right there. That was my
No. Okay, so 1 second. There's 2 things here. There's taking more than one wife. That's an actual wife. That was Rabbeinu Gershon. But the concept of a concubine, having someone that's not an actual wife, just more women just around, that I think stopped before that. I think that stopped before that.
Because isn't that the idea that if you don't have a ksuba, then it's znus?
Right. Right. A concubine didn't have a ksuba. There's no like responsibility there.
People had a mistress today.
Right.
Somebody on the side of the house. Sailor has one in each city.
So what is that?
A sailor has one in each port.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we'll see that.
Yeah, that's in too.
Everything is in here. So Arba, she has four maids. Yesheves bekat dera. She sits on a throne. She's just relaxes all day.
Wow.
She plays bridge. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak bar Hananya, Amar Rav Huna. Did we have Rabbi Yitzchak bar Hananya before? We had Rav Huna bar Chinana. This was Rabbi Yitzchak bar Hananya. Amar Rav Huna, the name of Rav Huna. Before Rav Huna was a student of Rav Huna bar Chinana. So this is a generation lower. Alf Bishamri Yesheves bekat dera. Even though we say that she sits on this throne, she still has to mix his drinks and prepare his bed and wash his face, hands, and feet.
Wow.
But before, when we mentioned that one of the chores that she had to do was to make the bed, this must be something different, because we said once she has a maid, then she doesn't have to make the bed. Now we're saying that she always has to make the bed. It must be, this is, I think Rashi says that there was some sort of sheet that they would just spread over the bed. It wasn't actually like this was effortless. This was just something that was a type of endearment that make the bed look nice or something.
Maybe it's inappropriate for anyone else to
prepare that.
husband's bed. That's what it
Right.
said. She's still, that's
Right.
sacred.
Wow. That's exactly what Steinfeld says.
Oh,
That's what the doctor said. Exactly word for word.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I knew half of it from Stein.
yeah, it's true.
Okay. Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Chinana again. Amar Rav Huna kol malacha sheisha isa labayla nida isa labayla. Everything that a woman is obligated to do for her husband, even if she's a nida, she's still obligated to do it for her husband. However, there's exceptions to that. Chutz mi mezigas hakais, except for mixing his drink, and hatzas samita, preparing the bed, v'chatzas panav yad raglav, and washing his hands, feet, and face. His face, hands, and feet. The Gemara explains, vatzas samita marav alayamanal b'fanav. Preparing the bed, that's only if he's there and in front of her while she's doing it. But when he's not home, then she is allowed to prepare the bed, even if she's in nida. Less lamba, that's not a problem. Meziga sakais, preparing his drink. Shmuel mechalfalo debisu, biyada desmala. Shmuel's wife. Do we know who she was? I don't know if we know. I'm not familiar who she was. Her name, but she would prepare his drink and with her left hand. And that was considered acceptable. It wasn't, it was like in a different fashion. Abaya mancha lay apuma de kuba. Abaya's wife, that may be Chaima. I think Abaya married a woman, Chaima. So she put the cup on the opening of a barrel. I guess it means on the top of the barrel. On the opening would be strange; it would fall right in. It must be on the top of the barrel. Rava, that's what it says.
It's inappropriate to, you shouldn't mix everything is right. It's inappropriate to pass.
Right, and but nevertheless, to pass with the left hand, because but when she's a nida, then you do that to show that it's not a type of endearment, affection. Rava Beisadia, Rava's wife, that was the daughter of Rav Chisda, probably, put it on the pillow. I guess this drink. It sounds a little bit unstable. Rav probably had different pillows then. Rav, huh? Tempur-Pedic. Rav Papa Ashraf Ashrash Shifa. Ashar Shifa, that's what it is. Ashar Shifa on a bench. Rav Papa's wife put it on a bench. Amar Rav Yitzchak bar Chananya Amar Rav Huna. Again, this must be coming in because we had his name quoted before. So it says Hakol Mashin b'Shnei Hashem Meshchutz mi Basar v'Yayin. When you have a waiter, that you can tell the waiter to wait to eat until after everyone else gets their food. But you can't do this when it comes to meat and wine. And the explanation for this is because it could be dangerous if he has a craving for something and you tell him that he has to wait. So that could cause, I don't know, physical problems or mental problem.
To the guy or to the waiter?
To the waiter. Because he's waiting and he wants this food and he's smelling it and this and he can't eat it. So when it comes to basar and yayin, meat and wine, you have to let him eat right away and drink. Amar Rav Chizda, basar shamin v'yayin yashin. Rav Chizda says this is referring to fatty meats and aged wine. Amar Rava basar shamin kalashana kula yayin yashin b'tkufas tamas. Rava explains that the meat is all year. It's an issue, but the wine is only in the summer months because the heat causes the wine to give off a stronger scent, a stronger they call it the nose, the aroma of the wine. Amar Rav Anan bar Tachlifa Havikam Imna Kamedamar Shmuel. I was standing in front of Shmuel. Basically, Tafshila Da'ardi. They brought to Shmuel mushrooms. Yeah, Ardi is Kameyan and Pitrais. Maybe it could mean truffles or mushrooms. And we loved the Yovli Istakni. And if he wouldn't have handed some to me, I would have been in danger. In other words, it must have smelled so good that he had such a strong craving for it. It would have been dangerous not to have some. Amar Ravashi.
Summer wine is a famous English song.
Oh, summer wine.
American song.
And does that mean that it's better in the summer, or it smells more, or
It means there was
a summer wine?
famous song.
Let's play the
What?
song.
Is that what? Lee Hazelwood. But the song is summer wine.
This is the Zaltz part of the Steinsaltz. Dr. Stein was saying that he's half of the Steinsaltz is the Stein. Sometimes we get the Zaltz.
Yeah.
No, sometimes we get. Okay. So Amar Ravashi Avi Imna Kamei de Rav Kana. Rashi says he was in front of Rav Kana. Vaisale Gargalide de Lifta Bechala. They brought him Gargalide is like slices of turnip in vinegar. I guess sounds like pickled turnip. And Vilav Diovli Istakni. If he wouldn't have given me some, I would have been in danger. Rav Papa Amar Afilu Tamarta de Hanunisa, to these juicy dates, probably like those module dates or something, So that's also could cause a craving. Klala de Milsa, the rule is called this reicha, anything that has a scent, this liqua, or it has a sharpness to it, then it can cause damage to the people that are not able to eat while others are eating.
What is Rabbi Steinsaltz say? Bulmus is, because that's what it says is this tremendous, terrible disease.
How does the article translate bulmus?
That's why it is. It just says bulmus.
They don't even bother translating it. So the Gemara doesn't mention bulmus, but it's Rashi that
Life-threatening disease produced by hunger, including the weakening of one's vision.
So Stakni, here it says both psychological, both physiological and psychological, and one who is not eating. it can cause secretion of saliva and digestive acids and cause significant discomfort to the person. It's also possible in the specific conditions, for the experience to cause more serious damage. For example, excessive secretion of digestive acids in a person who has an ulcer can cause extreme pain, a change of complexion, and even fainting.
More of a Pavlovic
Yeah.
experience.
Right.
Is that ring the bell?
Isn't there an idea that, you shouldn't have these foods if you're gonna have such a physical attraction to them?
I mean, the other person shouldn't be eating them.
Yeah, I mean, like the idea of like you want to remain more in a spiritual
Right,
state and like get so entrenched in physicality, like
right. Right. What's the verbrengen? He's saying that there's a concept not to become entrenched in physicality by having these like fancy foods and all of that. Yeah, that's the old North Miami Beach. Okay,
No, it said that the woman could reduce her needs, so she doesn't eat so many meat. Right, that's the
right.
one.
That was before if she
Yeah.
would get a maid.
Yeah.
Okay. Avua bar Ihi, Uminyamin bar Ihi. These two bar Ihis, two people. They must be brothers. Chad Safi mikol mina mina v'chad Safi michad mina. They had a waiter, I guess, a butler, someone that was serving them. And one of them would serve the butler from every dish. And one of them would serve him just from one dish. He shouldn't be hungry, but they wouldn't give him to taste from everything. So Mar Mishtay Elio Bade, Mar Leim Mishtay Eli Bade. One of them was visited by Elio and one wasn't. So the care for the waiter over here looks like he was able to merit Elio Hanavi. The one that served the waiter, the extra, not the other one. I think that doesn't spell it out. Okay. Hanu Tartin Chaside. There were these two.
Excuse me, when you're saying waiter, you mean the person that's waiting?
Yeah,
Oh, I
person that's
kept
serving a.
thinking you meant the waiter that's bringing the food.
Yeah, the one that's waiting
Yeah, the
to
butler.
bring the food. What happens is
Because the other guy's also waiting for. it.
no,
But you meant the
yeah.
waiter who serves.
the one who serves
Oh,
gets to eat usually after everyone eats.
right.
But here, there's certain foods that you would give him before. So one of them would that because it's dangerous if he doesn't have it right away. So one of them would serve him all the dishes before, and one of them would just give him one. So the one that served him a taste from every dish, the waiter, before everyone else ate, because he's the one that's serving it. So he merited to have Eliyahu. So there were these two Hasidim, Mamilei Rav Mari, Rav Pinchas Bnei Rav Chisda. Rav Mari and Rav Pinchas, the children of Rav Chisda. I knew that there were two sons of Rav Chisda, Mar Kshusha and Mar Yinika, Mar Kashisha and Mar Yinuka. The older one and the younger one. But I'm not sure if that matches up or if that's other children. Mar Kadim Safi and Mar Ma'achas Safi. One fed him before and one fed him afterwards. We're talking about the waiter. The Kadim Safi, the one that fed the waiter before Elio Mishtoy Bade, Elio came to him. Ma'achas Safi Lamishtoy Elio Bade, Elio didn't come to visit him. Amimar Marzucha Varavashi. This is a what do you call the three people? The triumvirate. This is a common group of three that they have this. That they have this. No, they have a lot of stories with them, with these three. One of them does something different than the other two, and then they question him, and then it happens in the Gemara. Yeah. Amimar Marzuchin Ravashi. Havikayasya Pischa Debei Asgar Malka. They're sitting at the entrance to Asgar, to the house, the palace of Asgar Malka. Yeah, he was a Persian king, Rashi tells us. Cholef va'azil aturniga, the Malka. I guess the butler or the chef, or the waiter, I'm not sure. Would bring the one that would bring the food to the king, he passes by. Chazir Ravashi the Marzutra. Ravashi takes a look over at Marzutra. The Chivarape sees that he became very pale. Shakal bi'etzbase. He takes some food with his fingers and anachle bepume, and he put it into his mouth. Amalei, so the chef tells to Ravashi, you just ruined the king's portion. King's not going to eat it now. Amrulei, so the police come along. Why did you do that? Why did you ruin the king's food? Amalahu, man David Hachi pasal mechal the malka. So someone that makes this, man David Hachi, someone that makes this food should not be making food for the king. There's something wrong with this food. Amalei Amai, what's wrong with this food? Amalahu, davaracher chazaybe. I saw that there's davaracher, there's something else going on in it. What's a davaracher? Sounds like leprosy. There's some disease in it. They look around, they look at it, they don't find anything. He takes his finger, I guess he takes the police's finger, I don't know. Yeah, he takes the butler's finger, that's what Rashi says. The chef's finger, and Anachale puts it on it. Amalei hachami bat kisu, did you check it from here? You have to look at this part. But Goashko, they found that there was something wrong with it. Amalei Rabbanan, so the students tell to Ravashi, my time asam chasanisa. Why did you do this? And then you have to rely on a miracle. Amalahu chazay ruach tzeras de kaparchilave. I saw the spirit of leprosy that was going on Marzutra. So either there's two possibilities here. Either what he means is that, so therefore I had to create a miracle. Because, or what he means is that it wasn't a miracle. I saw the spirit of leprosy on Marzutra, so I figured it's probably in the food also. It wasn't a miracle. Two possibilities what he means. They asked him, why do you have to make a miracle? He said, oh, it was very serious. So either that means that he had to do a miracle, or it means that it wasn't a miracle. The tsaras was it. There was this Roman. He tells to this woman, minciviously, marry me. She says no. Oh, this is already like. I'm sorry. He didn't say please. I'm not sure. Certain woman. Also, I see Rimne Pali. He brought a cracked pomegranate, ba'achal kama, and he eats it in front of her. Kol maya de tsarile balse. All of the, I guess, saliva that she has while he's eating it, she's swallowing the saliva. He's eating it in front of her, and she's and she doesn't give her anything. Ad zugla, until zug sounds like she became ill, but here it says her face gets swollen, and it says over here that she becomes like glass. I don't know what glass means. Does it mean that the skin changes color? Skin stretches.
She could have had a carotid stone, prior molars there, and then what happens when you suck a lemon in front of them and they make saliva, can't drain, so they start to swell up and swell. That's terribly painful.
Oh, wow.
It was the old cheap test, the test before it's chest cancer. You just suck a lemon in front of your patient.
Oh wow.
Bloated. She became bloated.
Or even vitamins go.
She wanted to taste the pomegranate. So he tells her, then he tells her, if I heal you, will you marry me? In. She doesn't have a choice. Also, I see Rimna Pali. He goes and he takes another pomegranate. Vachal Kama eats it in front of her. Amalei says to her, Kol Maya de Tzarilach, Tuf Shadai. Spit it out. Tuf Shadai, spit it out. Adenafkas Mine Kihutzi Yarkavit Ziyah. Until what comes out of her is a green leaf. Like a green leaf. and she gets healed. Yeah. It's funny that he doesn't even offer her a piece of it. I thought that would be the healing. Give her some pomegranate.
So she's like vomiting or something.
I guess so.
I think she was clogged. Clogged caused enough pressure. to Shock the plug. It's 7 stone, but that's pure congestion.
Uh-huh.
Oh, because it's green?
It says green leaf.
Okay, Vaisa Bitzemer. She also works with the wool. Bitzemer and Bepishtim light. Makes her work with the wool, the wife, but not with flax. Mastis and Mani, who's the author of a Mishnah, Rabbi Yehudi, it's Rabbi Yehudi the Tanya. You can't force her to serve his father or his son, and not to give straw in front of the animals. But he can force her to give straw in front of the other animals. What's the difference between these two animals? I guess the bucker is the smaller animal. Bucker it sounds like a cow. I'm not sure what the difference is. Let's see if there's any comments there. So cattle he does and animals not. One of the tasks that a woman must perform is placing straw before his animals. Some say this applies only to the animals he uses for riding purposes. This follows the version quoted with the opposite version appearing here. Okay, I don't know. Whatever the case is, Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Yehuda says that he can't force her to do work with the flax. It causes halitosis, bad breath, and it causes the lips to become stiff. I guess because she would have to moisten the string or something. Hanimili bekisna ruma, but this is all with the Roman flax. Excuse me, Roman linen. Rabbi Lezer says even if he has 100 maids and if she brings in 100 maids, she still has to do work because otherwise it comes to licentiousness. Amar of Malkiya says, Amar of Ada Baraba Alachik Rabbi Lezer, that Allah is like Rabbi Eliezer. Okay. Amar of Chanina Breder Avika Shpud Shvachis V'Gumais Rav Malkiya. We have these halachas about a spit, Masech L'Speya. We have the halacha here about maid servants. We have a halacha about gumais means the follicles in Masech L'Snida, and that was said by Rav Malkiya. Blairis, which is a type of haircut. I think it's either a ponytail or something. Afer Mikla Ugvina, a certain type of ash that's put on a wound. It could be like a tattoo. And Gvina, and the prohibition of cheese that's not kosher, or that non-Jewish cheese, that's not Rav Malkiya, that's Rav Malkiya. Rav Papa Amar Masnisa Rav Malkiya. Shmaitz is Rav Malkiya. Papa said no. And these two names are confusing, so we're dividing up who said what. So Rav Papa says it depends if it's a Brisa or a Mishnah, then that's Rav Malkiya. But if it's a later statement, then that's Rav Malkiya. The Simanach, and if you want to remember how to do this, Masnisa, Malkasa is Rav Malkiya. Right, we're trying to make it rhyme with Malkiya. Would be the Brisa is the queen. Masnisa Malkasa is Malkiya. Okay, not Malkiya, not Rav Malkiya. My Binaya, what would the difference between Rav Papa's explanation, between Rav Papa's division of who said what? It could be Binaya Shvachis. When it comes to the maidservants, where we said that the Rabbi Lazar says that she still has to do some work. And Rav Malkiya says that it's the halach is like Rabbi Eliezer. So according to Rav Papa, it wasn't Rav Malkiya, it would be Rav Malkiya. Okay. Shimon ben Gamliel says that she still should do work because she will go crazy if she doesn't do work. Now the Gemara says, one second, Hainu Tanakama, that's Rabbi Eliezer's view. Rabbi Eliezer said that if she doesn't do work, then it'll bring to licentiousness. And here we're saying that'll make her crazy. Same thing, right? It could be nayu. The difference is the mitlala beguraisa kitnaisa v'nadrashir. The difference is that it's if she's busy, but she doesn't have any responsibility. If she's busy, it's not with work. She's busy with playing with these small dogs, keeps her busy all day. And she's busy playing chess. Nadir Shir is some sort of chess game. What makes a person crazy? That's if they have nothing to do. But what brings to licentiousness is if they have no responsibilities. The responsibility, the chores is that would help for that. But here, she's busy, but she doesn't have any protection from that. So that would be the difference between these two opinions, Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. Yeah, today it was just video games. She's busy on social media. You know, it's very busy.
And you don't need maids because you have machines to do them.
They're all insane anyway. No, over here it says it stops them from going insane.
Is she in charge of managing the maids? Or not?
And that I don't know. I guess so. I guess they have a maid in charge of managing the maids.
Hmm.
Yeah. And she's only in charge of that maid. If a man forbids the pleasure of relations with his wife, he can't forbid having relations on his wife because he's obligated to have relations with his wife. But he takes a vow that he's not going to have enjoyment from his wife. Not that his wife is not going to have enjoyment from him. He has, because that says in the Torah that he has to, but he can take a vow that he won't have enjoyment from his wife, and then he basically is not going to have relations with his wife. So how long can they stay married? Well, Bishamayim Shtei Shabbosos. Bishnami says, excuse me, that can only last for 2 weeks. At that point, she can say, okay, I want a divorce and give me the ksuba. That's grounds for a divorce. Basil says that can last for 1 week, and she can say, I want a divorce. Sorry. Yeah, so here he had like this little loophole where he's not vowing that he's not going to have relations with he's not going to give his wife relations. He's vowing that he's not going to have enjoyment from relations with his wife. Just sort of like a loophole. But ultimately, he can't have relations with his wife. Well, the students are allowed to leave the house up to 30 days without their wife's consent. Workers, Shabbos Achas.
So what was that story that
Someone went, yeah, you have to go back. Yeah, right.
That was with the, it was a quick thing.
Right. It must have been based on this Gemara. That I don't know if Yetzer means lachatchila or Yetzer means that it is not grounds for a divorce. Right? There's different ways of learning this. Hapayolim Shabbos Achas. And workers can go for a week. Ha'ina amura b'Torah. When it says in the Torah that a man is obligated to have relations with his wife, how often is that? Well, hatayolim, which the Gemara is going to need to translate what that means, but they have b'chol yaim, every day. Hapayolim, if they're workers, shtayim b'Shabbos, twice a week. Hachamarim, if they're donkey drivers, achas b'Shabbos, and it's once a week. Hagamalim, if they're camel drivers, because they go on bigger trips, then achas l'shleishim yaim. That's once in 30 days. And asapanim is those sailors that you mentioned.
Yeah.
So there, achas l'shish chadashim, that's once every 6 months.
Right.
Div Rebbe Lezer, that's what Rebbe Lezer says. Gemara says, my time of the Beis Shammai. What's the reason for Beis Shammai that says 2 weeks? That he can take a vow for 2 weeks, and that unless he annuls it, then otherwise it's grounds for a divorce. Well, Gemiri mi yeledes nekeva. When a woman gives birth to a female, to a girl, so she's tamei, she's separated from her husband for 2 weeks. So 2 weeks would have been a normal time to be separated. Basil but Basil says no. We learn from someone that gives birth to a male child. She's only tummy for 1 week. The Gemara says Basil nami nigrim mi'aledes nekeva, but we find in the Torah that she sometimes is tummy for 2 weeks. You're right. If Basil was learning from a woman that gives birth, then you're right. But El Basil mi nida gamrila. Basil learns it from nida, which is only 1 week. So that's why they say that 1 week is the limit. But my comiflagi, what is the machlekes over here between Bishame and Basil? Marsav midah shchiach midah shchiach. One says, well, what's more common? Nida is more common. So the vow that the person takes, we're going to learn from something that's more common, which is nida. Marsavar, the other one says, midi dehu garimla, midi dehu garimla. He's the one that took the vow, and he's the one that made her pregnant. So we're going to learn from pregnancy, or from labor, from birth, as opposed to nida. Nida has nothing to do with him. So just like he is allowed to cause a 2-week delay in relations by she gives birth to a girl, so too, or 1 week she gives birth to a boy, so too the vow, he's causing that delay. Amar Rav machlekes ben mefarish. The machlekes b'sham and Misil is when he says that he's taking the vow for 2 weeks or for 1 week. Aval b'stam, but if he just takes a vow without any end to it, then divrei kol yetzel al tavit Kesubos, then that's it. They get divorced immediately. He doesn't have to wait the 2 weeks and see what happens. Shmuel amar afilu b'stam nami yamtin shem yimtze pesach lenidrei. No, Shmuel says they wait the 2 weeks anyway, or the 1 week. Maybe he's gonna be matineder. He'll find a loophole to get out of that vow, or maybe it means pesach lenidrei means he'll be able to get it annulled with the chacham. The Gemara says, we had this discussion already once. If someone takes a vow not to have benefit, or that his wife can't have benefit from him. No, honestly, that he can't have benefit from his wife. So ad shleishim yayim, until 30 days, yamid parnas. Now, this must be, he forbids his wife to derive benefit from him. So what he's going to do here is who's going to support her. So for 30 days, he has someone supporting her. He can get someone to support her. And Rav says that's only if he designated it for 30 days. Avol stam, but if he didn't designate it at all, then then they can get divorced immediately. So Rav already said that it's only if it was set for 30 days. If it was set for more than 30 days, then that's ground for a divorce. But if it was without any limit, then they can get divorced immediately. And Shmuel says no, that maybe he'll find a loophole. So you wait 30 days, you don't get divorced immediately. The Gemara says tzricha. It's necessary to say both of these, machlekes and Rav and Shmuel, by these two different cases. If it would only say by one of them, Rav said that they get divorced immediately because it's impossible for him to provide someone else to have relations with his wife. That he can't do. So Rav says over there that they get divorced immediately, but maybe by the other one, when it's just giving sustenance, after beparnas, maybe would agree with Shmuel that you can wait 30 days and see what happens, even though he didn't set any limit on that. But meanwhile, he can provide sustenance. And if it would only say by the other one, that's where Shmuel says that you wait 30 days, even though it was really limitless. But you wait 30 days. But in the case where he forbids relations, maybe we would agree with Rav that they can get divorced immediately. So both of these machlekes are necessary. Wouldn't have learned one from the other. Have a good day, everyone.
By the way, is correct with the green.
Thank you.